Notice I've added a little notch here, which helps when sharpening the blade, because it allows you to work right up to the edge of the stone and get the whole of the blade sharp and not damage the stone. The next thing we do is to harden the blade before we temper it. Now normally I'd use this forge that I made out of an old car wheel with 3 legs welded on it, which is air fed by an old interior blower motor out of a car, which obviously runs on the 12-volt battery that we used earlier. In the middle I've used some cotton canvas to make a tube. So instead of the forge that I made out of an old car wheel, I thought I'd try and make one in the ground. So I dug a hole, I took the grate out of my forge and put it in the hole that I'd dug, and to feed the air underneath, you might just be able to make out there's a piece of 1.5 inch square tube that I found laying around on the scrap heap, which then has my blower motor attached as before. So let's see how it goes. So now the exciting part. The hardening process is the reverse of the softening process. We heat the blade to 800 degrees, and in doing this we turn the carbon into carbide again. But if we leave it to cool slowly, it will return to being carbon. So we quench the blade. That is, we cool it very rapidly. This traps the carbon as carbide, which makes the steel hard, and we use oil to do the cooling. Right, we're ready, the fire's going. We've got our knife, we've got it in a pair of mole grips so that we can keep our hands well away from the heat. A pair of gloves going on in a minute. I use nasty old engine oil, partly because I like recycling and partly because it's cheap. Well, it's free, isn't it? When we put the blade into the oil, we must put it in vertically, because if we put it in diagonally, this side will cool first and shrink, and it may bend the blade. So when I put it into the oil, I must put it in like that. We'll get the end, the whole of the blade and part of the handle cherry red. It needs to be 800 degrees. Now, brilliant thing about nature is that it's always got a little indicator for you. And in this particular case, where metal gets to 800 degrees, it's no longer magnetic. So if you get a magnet and we try it on the blade, we see that it sticks. When this gets up to 800 degrees, this won't stick, so we know we're at the right temperature, and that's when we pull it out of the fire and plunge it into the oil and quench it. where it doesn't stick. Bit of a hot, messy game, and we've got a nice black blade now, but hopefully that should be hardened. So while we wait for the blade to cool down, as usual, we get the kettle on. But I don't think we'll use the blower this time. Right, my knife now is not looking very pretty, it's very black from the oil. So we're going to clean it up with a bit of 180 wet and dry. Right, I've cleaned the knife and I've run the blade over the oil stone again just to clean that up. This section we got red hot and quenched, so it's hard. This section didn't get red, although it got hot, it didn't get red hot, so this hasn't been hardened, this will still be soft. And what we want to do is bring the edge of the blade back to being just a little bit under the hardness that it is now, and we want the spine of the blade to be as soft as we can get it, so that we've got strength and flexibility in the spine of the blade, but we've got the perfect cutting edge. To do this, I'm going to use a gas blowtorch, and I'm going to apply the heat from the back so that the heat flows through, and just as it gets to the cutting edge, I'll watch the colours as they run, and when it gets to a straw colour we stop, quench it in some cold water just to stop that process, and then if I've done it right we should have a nice soft spine to the blade and the perfect cutting edge.